Back for part 3 of the Boss SY200 demo. It's taking a lot longer than I thought it would. So in the last video I went through all the different settings from 0 to 000 to 0027. I believe there's 27. And that's kind of strange and unusual because there's only supposed to be 25 preset things on it. So obviously somebody decided to add a few more at the factory or wherever. Maybe at the dealer, I'm not sure. So anyways, what I found out and what I said in the last video, it's an amazing machine, but it's for effects, for synth. It's very synthy. What I found is that it's not quite what I was predicting or what I was expecting. I was thinking there would be a lot more tones or presets that were familiar, so you could pick up your guitar and boom, play something from a record that you once heard or some other famous setting. So what I found out though about the machine that's not really there. There's maybe a few that are similar to certain things, but a lot of them, like I was saying in the last video, are repetitive. So I would say it's just a handful of very unique settings, and what I was set on was the as I went through all the presets incrementally, like I said, there was a variation knob which gives you variations of that setting. But what I found was those variations were the same as other variations on other settings, so or other presets. So if you went through the variables, you would find one variable on one preset and maybe like 10 or 20 increments of the presets. You could go through the variables and go, hey, that sure sounds familiar to one that I just went over in like 30 or 50 other variations ago. So that one thing, I don't know if I don't like that. You know, if you're paying that much money for something, I think each variation should be completely unique. But that might be impossible when you consider how many different variations are possible. I haven't really done the math on that yet, but it would basically be a lot, like thousands. There's thousands of different presets in here, and each one of those apparently you can modify. I imagine, I never looked at the manual for this. I just learned the basics to fire it up and demo it because I've only got this for a week. It's got to go back in a couple of days. So the one thing, as I'm talking to you, I've got it off right now. One of the main things I noticed about it, it's a super battery eater. And so when you do buy one of these, and you might want to buy one based on what I'm talking about, I'm giving you an honest opinion as a songwriter and a professional entertainer. I'm not being paid by anybody to talk about this. So, and from my position would be very similar to a lot of other professional musicians or guitar players that want to do something unique live and in the studio. You know, think about it. The studio's already got Pro Tools and all these DAWs. So whatever you're envisioning in your mind for your guitar to sound like, in the studio, they likely can reproduce whatever you're after. I don't think you need solid, like what's the word for it? Real pedals, because everything's like cyber settings, and I can't remember what the term is for all these effects that are on a computer, amp mods or whatever, where you can choose your amplifier setting to the nth degree on a computer. And I think that's what the cool thing about this is it contains a lot I know it contains a lot of that technology that is used on computers, and somehow they put it in a box that runs on basically 5.5 volts which is pretty unusual. Most of the pedals I remember from Boss would usually have a 9-volt battery in them. I've got three 1.5 triple or double A batteries, 1.5 volts, so that's 4.5 volts total, which is kind of unusual. And that could be why it saps a battery's power in like 2 hours. 2 hours of continuous playing, boom, those batteries are gone. Nice thing about it, gives you a warning as to why your pedal's sounding so terrible, is because your battery is low. So it immediately, as soon as the power starts going down, that message, it's like the oil light on your car. It comes on and, oh, you've got a problem. So with this thing, it's very similar. That light comes on, you got a problem. You got to change those batteries right away. So I highly recommend, without a doubt, when you buy one of these, you buy the adapter, the electric DC adapter, or get yourself some kind of power output, like 18, the lithium ion battery pack, something like that, that puts out 4.5 watts. I don't believe you have to follow electricity is electricity, right? So a battery is a battery. If you duplicate a battery with 3 alkaline AAAs, you can duplicate that with, in my opinion, you can duplicate that with 18650s, lithium ion cells. Just have someone put together a pack for you. And then you got a rechargeable pack, and you'll have a lot more time to play with, because they give you a lot more time. The 18650 cells last a long time. They're the same cells that are in your Tesla automobile. Anyways, so while I'm talking, the battery's slowly going dead here. And so I think what I did today was I just went to a different setting in the last 2 videos. This is part 3, which I thought was only going to be part 1. I went through the settings on this, it's called Dual, and it's on the little knob that you'll see when you look at it. It's Dual. It says right on the pedal. There's a knob with a whole bunch of different things like string, bell, wall, organ, bass, sweep, noise, all these different effects right on the knob. So the function knob, like I said before, doesn't have anything. And then you've got your LED display, which is your memory. So all those different memories or presets from 0 to 127 on this unit are all controllable and programmable too. So when you do, I believe when you do discover something you like on this for a sound, and if it's inspirational for writing a song, which is what my videos are about, is composing music. If you find something that inspires you to create a song, you can save it in this unit on the memory control 1 button. It's the memory / CTL1. Somehow you can take whatever you find and program it in there. I'm not sure how. You'll have to read the manual on how to do that. But you'll be able to do that and put it into the machine and bring it up when you want to go back to working on the tune. That, to me, is, from a composing standpoint, is priceless. Because when you want to work on your song, it's such a drag to have to go through recordings and all the stuff you've logged and start building that song, which is the way I do things. Like, it's kind of, I've gotten to the point now in my career that I just compose and compose and compose. Sometimes I complete songs in one afternoon. Sometimes I complete it in an hour. Sometimes it takes weeks. So I'll start a composition off, and then I'll stop because I've had enough. And there's nothing else coming from the well to go into that song. I gotta stop and probably give it a few days, sometimes a few weeks, then go back to it and go, oh yeah, that was going here. So if I add this, now the song's gonna go that way, which is what I want, or it's all up to the universe and what's available to us in the ether, what comes to us for an influence. So the Boss SY200 definitely can help. I think in the composing side, like I said, it doesn't do as much as I thought it would. The arpeggio stuff is kind of fun, and it's not, like I said, the arpeggio stuff, you can do arpeggios on your guitar. There's really no need to have a unit that'll do that, other than because you don't want to play it, or you're too lazy to play it, or it's too fast for you to play. Arpeggios, this thing, you can have them go so fast that they're just a buzz. So they go diddle 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 diddle, or they can go so fast. So I don't, personally, I don't get much from there. So anyways, today what I've done was we went through everything on dual over the past 2 sessions, I guess, part 1 and part 2. I only had on the setting dual, and so today I changed the setting to lead, and I thought, okay, this is going to probably be single notes only, and I'm on memory number 5, or preset number 5, and I've already found something that's kind of cool, and it's this one. It's on number 5, and it's called variation number 20. So there's something about this sound. Sounds very Hendrixy tone-wise, where it's, what I mean is you can sort of mimic a tone from Jimi Hendrix. I got a pedal that does that as well, but this unit is completely synthetic. That sound is synthetic, what you're hearing. But you can hear that's kind of got that, what's the effect? Oh, what did Hendrix? Hendrix used a wah, he used a fuzz face, and he also had, not an echo, it wasn't an echo unit. It escapes me right now, but he had this weird echoey pedal that made that weird, that ooh sound from a guitar. And so what this synth is doing is duplicating that, which I think is totally cool, because it's something that I can also adjust. So now we're getting kind of out of songwriting a little bit, or composing, to using this for what I think it was designed for, is use of it on a live stage without having a huge pedal board with a ton of effects in there. All you really need is one of these units, because all the effects really do generally is electronically change the sound of the signal coming off the guitar into the amplifier. That's all pedals do. So when you have a synthesizer, which is this SY200, it's basically doing that. You just have to toy with it to get closer to those tones. So something I noticed was the saw wave. It was very much like a fuzz or a distortion, and it can be played with as well. So I like that. I do a lot of bending in my playing, because I'm basically coming out of blues. But when you do stuff like that, you get a lot of sustain, which is something you won't get out of a guitar, especially at this volume, unless you're going through a lot of guitar pedals. So like I said, this one unit does it yourself. So in a way, it can be fun to probably sit down with it and go through about 24 sets of, or 24 AA batteries, and come up with a song. Because like I said, it eats batteries. In fact, it's probably going to request another 3, because it's battery hungry, this unit. I don't have an adapter, so but if you got an adapter, you can use this sound to come up with riffs. Like you can use a guitar, which is the best. Like for myself, I play my electric guitar just like this, acoustically, which you'll hear on all my previous videos. It's all basically not plugged in, and I'm just playing with the guitar volume. Because I find this electric, I had it hot rodded so that it does things that your average guitar doesn't really do. So had a Kaler put on it. So all I'm doing there is I'm just bending a note like a blues band. I've noticed that with this setting as well, when you land on that E or A chord, do you hear how the bottom end just swells up like crazy? I don't know how cool that would be live. It might drive your sound engineer nuts. The guy behind the board who's mixing it out the front, he might be going like, what's going on? Because there's no volume pedal involved. The guitar is doing it itself. Yeah, it increases in the volume and then comes back down, which is, I don't know why the pedal's designed to do that, or the effect. Maybe that can be trimmed off so it doesn't swell so high. I don't know. This is basically a demo of all the settings. I don't know how deep. I'm not a synthesizer guy. I follow them, but I've never really dug into them super deep like, say, a keyboard player would. So that's 5. Let's zip through all of these in the setting like I did yesterday. In the memories, we'll go from 5 to 127, or yeah, 127 as quickly as possible and see what we can find. See, that's swelling it again. It's bringing the volume up, which would kind of make a sound man a little crazy. You might not be able to hear it on the recording, but you should be able to. But if I play fast, that volume stays kind of normal. It's just when I stop playing, it decides to go, whoa. That ain't too cool when you're mixing out in the fronts. And where does it happen? The low notes. Doesn't happen on the highs. Not as much, not as noticeable. And that's a little note. So we're on 8. This is a bell setting. 9. Rotary. 10. Not too bad for a rhythm. I don't like things that cover the bass guitar, because that's just, if you're taking stuff away from the bass guitar player, he's going to do less or he's going to do way too much, and just from experience. And so you don't want, whatever you're playing, a guitar or baritone, you don't want to be covering the bass player stuff, and that's what this was doing. What's the point? So we'll pass by all this bass stuff. 12. Can't play chords with this. No thanks. No influence, no inspiration from that. Now this, I know, is the same on dual. So from lead, which is what we're on now, to what I was doing in the past was dual setting. I recognize that right off the bat. So they duplicated a whole bunch of settings on this pedal. So keep that in mind. After playing with this for 3 days straight, for about 2 hours or 3 hours a day, I can say with confidence that there's only about 8 regular tones, or 8, what's the word? Aha moment kind of tones in there that will make you go, oh wow, that's kind of cool. Or will influence you as a songwriter or composer, which is really what we're trying to find with this thing. Plus, I think if you're strictly a live player, if you're just doing covers in a band, you're going to look at this pedal and go, hey man, for this much money, I wanted it to do a lot more. And I think, honestly speaking, that's what a lot of people are going to say. Like, nothing against the company. It's just that from a musician standpoint, Boss has kind of got the settings on this to sell something new to people. They should have spent a little more time for the musicians to just run through these and not get duplicates while they're running through it. And that sucks. It's like having 2 pedals, going to the store, buying 2 pedals and expecting them both to do different things. They can, but not an incredible amount. So yeah, it'd be more like having, I don't know, having 2 pedals and having them both set the identical way and going back and forth. It's pointless, is what I'm saying. So here we go. So yeah, this is one we've heard before. Let's go to 15. Heard that one kind of. More bass stuff. I'm skipping all the bass stuff. In my opinion, if you're buying something designed for guitar, which the SY200 really isn't, it's designed also for bass players to use, I would wipe out all the bass guitar stuff as soon as I bought this, because I don't play bass. And I'm not about to duplicate the bass player stuff, because he's a professional. He knows what he's doing. So this could be also one of these things that's designed for amateur players. I'm not sure. But still, as an amateur player, I think you'd be kind of upset that you only have a certain amount of tones and they repeat themselves. Only an idiot wouldn't be able to see that. Arpeggios. That's called moving filter. I don't know why. So I think what that might be is this moving filter. You'll hear it as in comparison to a arpeggio. It's one note being messed with by different electronics or the synthesizer. So the note I'm hitting is this. Oops. Shut it off. That's the note I'm hitting with the synth off. And this is with it on. So you can hear it sounds like the same note, just tremolos on there and some kind of not a pitch shifter, but a tone shifter going from highs to lows, and tremolo sort of effect as well. So I kind of get that. That's number 18. Remember that one? So that's the same on memory 19 as it was when I had it set to dual. Why? I hope someone from Boss can come on to this video and make the comment as to why that is. Why am I paying this much and getting two of the same pedal on two different settings? That makes no sense. So in my other video, it's either part 1 or part 2, you'll find that in there I said, well, when I heard this, I said this is something that the drummer in your band is not going to play the snare drum on, because that cracky sound is duplicating a synthetic snare drum. So if you had this going, there's a good possibility the drummer would probably just play the bass drum and maybe some kind of percussion and not be hitting the snare. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, that doesn't influence my... I don't know if that would really influence my composing, because to me it sounds a little bit like Do It Again by the Beach Boys, which they did the same thing with a synthesizer back in the 70s. The song Do It Again. It's automatic when I talk with old friends and converse. Anyways, you know what I get. Getting at. Moving on. 19. Whoops. Let's move to, what did I just do? 20. I've never pressed the memory button before, but I just did, and it kind of changed the look of the number. I'm not sure what that does. Hey, it's an arpeggio, which I'm kind of going to go through those. So number 21 is another lead, octave up. Okay, big whoop. Another lead. So that's got a little bit of a wow effect, or a wah effect. Synthetic. So that's another lead setting. Another. And there's a sine lead. I'm not sure what that means. Must be a sine wave. Brassy lead. Does that sound brassy? Sounds chorusy. Here's my guitar. Here's the effect. I don't see the brassiness, but whatever. I hope I'm not being too critical. That's just what I'm looking for. And it's funny, you know, there's some people that are just okay with stuff. When you've gone through a lot of stuff, like you can tell by my hair that I'm not in my 20s anymore. But when I was in my 20s, I did go through a lot of pedals. And those pedals are still for sale today at the stores. So I know what a lot of different pedals do. And so I guess I have the experience to say yay or nay to certain things on new products, whether they're going to be good for you or, yeah, go pay $50 and get something cheaper that will do the same thing that you're looking for. 28. Whistly lead. That's fifths on number 29. Octaves. Another octave setting. Another one with way too much bass on it. Even when I play with organ players in a gig or at a jam, rarely do you hear the organ player covering bass lines. If there's a bass guitar player in the band, they'll usually stay somewhere in the middle or up high. They won't go down and duplicate what the bass player is doing. Why? Because that becomes just a mess. It's like a muddled mess to your ears when you hear it. Because it doesn't... Every instrument has its own frequency, and it's That's what they work on. Generally. Heard that one before. So that one reminded me of Higher Ground by Stevie Wonder. And so, which of course is a Stevie Wonder playing a synthesizer, not a guitar. That one's a little unique. That riff I just played is one of my own compositions, which I have been looking for an interesting tone. That could be it. But there's still that bottom eight, the bassiness. If I can get rid of the bassiness, which I probably can, number 34 on variation 21, 34-21 might be something I use. So moving on, 35, weirdness, more bass, 37, a little different. That's a weird chord. Don't think I would use that live. That's noise. This is taking too long, so I'm going to go through them one at a time, hitting just one string. Or maybe playing a riff. Number 45. This is more brass. Does not sound brassy. Does not sound brassy either. $48. Oh, what a surprise. The arpeggios are pretty much copied over and over. Well, this is synth brass. It looks like a 3 beside it. Hard to read. Yeah, I don't know what that is. They kind of messed up on the LED. It says synth brass, but the last thing looks like a 3, but it also looks like a blob. So they could have worked a little bit better on their display, or a little more on their display. But there's the tone of 49. Strange. $51. Glassy. High pad. African S brass. 55. A detuned, dual detuned pad. That sounds familiar. That's all right. Still pretty bassy. This is light STR number 59. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe sitar. You can do some pretty cool things I've noticed with a lot of the lead things for the whammy bar. It's kind of cool. See it right there. That's all whammy bar. A phased sitar. Cello. Sounds like something that's about 60 years old for a synthesizer. Now it says this is for chords. No thanks. Another bell setting. 66, all bells. That's all bell stuff. More bass bells, bell sitar. Steel pan. Rotary. This is a rotary speaker. Must be going really slow. I don't hear it. Organ. Compressor organ. Or complementary organ. Same thing, number 2. So as far as copying organs, I think this thing will do that really well. And I noticed that listening to other demos from other people. I heard a lot of organ sounds coming from their demos. So definitely, if you don't have an organ player, there's your answer in your band. Or if you want to play organ but you only know how to play guitar, there you go. Chorus again. Organ, sheep, sweep organ, not sheep organ. It's number 76, so we got a ways to go, folks. More bass, more bass. Skip the bass, unless you want to hear the bass. This is the bass. Saw bass. Dirty sequencer bass. So as far as a bass player goes, I'd like to hear how this sounds with the bass guitar, so we might do that. I got a bass sitting right there. This is synth feedback. So if you want to play some big chords at the end of a song or something, or in a big part of the song, that would be cool. Doesn't really help as far as composing goes, but let's keep looking. '87. That would drive people nuts live. Nuts in not a good way. A lot of bass there. '90. So now, yeah, that's not a arpeggio. They call this a slice sweep. I find it interesting that it has one tempo or speed, and then it speeds up at the end of the note. But guess what? I've heard this before. Twice before on different settings. That's a whole setting. 91 for space sweep. Phase sweep. So I get I think the idea of the word sweep meaning that the tone, or the tone changes from highs to lows through this effect. And there's one called octave sweep. So I don't know. You be the judge. This is called saw seep. I don't know if that's supposed to be sweep. Maybe somebody misspelled it. There's a lot of sweeps here. So I think the sweep is just like a phase or a chorus or a flanger. Essentially, that's what you could duplicate it with a guitar pedal. Fuzzy noise. Attack noise. Jeez. Techno noise. Choir noise. So that would likely be a choir of mice. Wind. We're on 100. Now, I heard this one before on the other setting, on the dual setting. What I thought was cool was just for that kind of thing. Wind. So it sounds a little bit like the drums on In the Evening by Led Zeppelin at the beginning of the song. Except for the sound of my guitar pick. Laser beam, which is, they might have left that blank. I think this setting, lo-fi, has got some interesting stuff, but I'd have to go through it. I get a little bit out of beep, but not much. Beep. We're on 104. Lo-fi phase. Moving on. That's wiggle, and wiggle seems to be the same on everything. That's called going down. 2. So it sounds like something that's recorded that keeps, when you trigger it with hitting a guitar string, you can find different tones off one string in one spot at the rate that you pick at. So if I wait, you get a different sound every time you hit a string, which to me is just nuts. The same thing, and 107 and 106 seem to be very repetitive. That's not guitar. Breath is 108, we're almost done. This is very trebly sounding, it's called touch filter. That sounds bizarre. So when I bend the note fast, and when I don't bend the note, you can hear that little effect that's at the very start of the effect. It's almost like a step. When it comes back around, it actually kind of makes an interesting effect. But that would only be something you'd use on the odd lead. That's not bad. There's not a lot of bass on it. That's number 111. Now these things, the tremolo stuff I always like. I've always been a fan of tremolo. And being that it's a synth and you can add other sounds to the tremolo, you can do that with an amplifier and a tremolo pedal. That's all you need to get that. Let me slow that down a bit. I'll demonstrate one of my songs that I wrote 30 years ago. So they're calling this, that was a song I wrote called Metal Swamp. It's spur of the moment thing. We're in the recording studio. We need another song for the record, and I just picked up the guitar, turned on the tremolo, and started playing that, and I cranked my little Fender Deluxe up quite a bit. and it was all very distorted. So it's on the first 3 Times the Blues record. Came out in 1991, I believe. So that is a simple bass 112. We're almost done. Oh, there's the same thing slowed down. And that's the next setting. Like, that's what I mean. It's kind of funny. So if I wanted to, I could speed this up. Let's see what happens when I speed it up. That's about the right tempo. There we go. So that in itself is even harder to work with than a regular tremolo on an amplifier, because it's a synthesized sound. The syntheticness is not real, whereas the tremolo on an amplifier is giving you that little bit of flexibility in what you're playing. Plus, it's a lot easier to find the right tempo. This would take me a while, especially if I was on stage. I don't think I'd want to be doing this. Okay, I'll take that back. Finding the right tempo for this song is super important when using this pedal or the tremolo on the amp, because if you're slightly slow, it's not gonna have the right groove. The drummer's not really gonna know what to do, because you cannot adjust that tempo unless you have an expression pedal. And whether that would work when you're playing live or not, I don't know. I think the drummer would have to have a click track or something like that to have, decent timing for that kind of effect. So that is, I guess, if I was sitting here 40 years ago or 30 years ago, I would find this and probably have come up with that riff for Metal Swamp based on that setting. But it was a lot easier to compose, which is what we're talking about, is composing songs. You don't have to play with your effect as much when you're composing something. It's like I said, I've been looking for tones or effects on this synth that immediately would inspire me to compose. So like I said, I've only found 1 or 2 so far, and I've been through almost all the settings. Let's move on. So that's an organ setting with a tremolo. There's sequencers again. So we've heard these sequencers on the other setting as well. So it's duplicated. Probably in the same area. And by duplicating, I mean it's probably not precise, but it's very close to another version on the pedal. So that in itself is not going to affect my imagination for composing. So this one is called a bass sequence, which is unusual because I don't hear a lot of bass coming off my guitar. As far as a bass guitar it's not as it's not as dominant as some of the other bass settings on this. So if you were to play a bass through this, that might sound pretty cool. And maybe that's what they're meaning. It's something you gotta play around with. So there's that snare drum. Once again, we've heard that before. And a slight variation on the tempo of it. Back to the arpeggios, and I think we're done. Yep. 126. And we're at the top, 127. Ooh, goes 128 on this setting. Okay, so it has one more setting, and we've run through all 120. There's 128 settings for that on the lead selection. And we did not try any of the variations because we'd be here for days doing that. So looks like that if you use the instrument selector, for lack of a better term, I'll have to look at what this is called, but it's got dual bass, organ, bell, string, PAD, lead, sweep, noise, special effects, SEO, arpeggio. That knob in itself, it looks like when you adjust that knob, all you're going to really get from this unit is variations on each one of the presets. Which means once you find those, you use the variation dial. Let's just see how many different variations there are on the variation dial. And then I think there's a lot. With the variations, you can set them. So on some of the presets, there's like 7. And then some of them have 30. So it sounds to me like there's a lot of memory in this thing. So when you do go to use it live, you can spend some time and find all the things that you want, modify them for your song. And this is strictly for live performance. This isn't really for composing. Simply modify it for your song and then just save it into the memory section. And you can use the little foot switch that says memory or control 1, which is probably either or. Because right now, if I press it, it just brings the presets up one increment at a time. So 001, hit the button, 002, hit the button, 003. So I know that you can also program that to hold notes. So if I hit it, if I play that, I can hit that button and that'll ring forever, like a sustain pedal. So I saw guys doing that on YouTube. I haven't tried it yet. I don't know how to do it. So I'm just telling you what this pedal's capable of. So I think I'm going to wrap things up today. Basically saying that this unit, so this is the big decision. Is this something that I want right now to help me compose songs? That's a tough question. I think I would have to spend way more time to go through maybe the arpeggios, maybe the tremolos, maybe some of the saws. I'm not sure, but at this point in time, I don't want to spend that time or that much time using a new toy, which is what these are. You know, they're basically toys. There's no skill involved with pushing a button. None. And like I said in the last video, that's why synthesizer players were kind of frowned on in rock and roll and a lot of different types of music, because all they would be doing is holding down a little button and then letting it go throughout a whole song, because all the programming was already done. But who's to say, you know, I've seen artists like Post Malone. He's doing a live karaoke show for 40,000 people. And I'm thinking, wow, man, I've been out of the music business for 30 years. What happened? It's really mind-blowing, because it's a long time to be out of show business and just getting back into it. This is coming up to my first year, the end of my first year. And I'm just like, I feel like I was in a coma. Because when you get out of the music business, you don't really pay much attention to it. You hear, I like listening to older music, so I'm not following what's on the radio, or even if it's on the radio. So for myself, this unit is not going to inspire me to do any composing. So, decision made. I'm not going to buy it right now. If there's something from now until Saturday that I find and I say to the boss, hey, this would sound really good on this song that we play, that might change things. But there's two things I've been searching for with this thing, and I haven't found them. And I'm thinking either they're not attainable with this, which would be stupid, because the songs that I have in mind were created by Roland, made this instruments that made the songs that I have in mind 35 years ago. So this is a Boss unit, which of course is I think they're partnered, or one owns the other, Boss and Roland. Roland came up with the first synthesizers that I know of, and those were the synthesizers that some recordings were made on. Guitar synthesizers. So it was the first Roland, which looked like a guitar. There was a second Roland that had this weird arm that I explained in the last video. I should have looked up what their actual names are. But if you look up, if you just Google synthesizer guitar, you'll see what I mean. They were made by Roland. Probably some other companies made them, but I know Judas Priest used them for the Turbo Lover album, whatever the album was called. Jimmy Page used an early one right after Led Zeppelin stopped. He did a movie for Death Wish. He used one of these Roland guitar synths, and he used the kind, because I saw him in an interview holding it. And down here, he had the computer plug on the guitar. And the guitar was manufactured by Roland as well. So all he really used that guitar for, what an easy gig, was basically playing single notes for this music score that he dreamt up for the movie. So, and maybe there was some definitely there was some programming involved that he had to do, or he got his buddy to do it, and then he just plunked out the notes. But those synthesizer parts kind of made that movie, because everybody went to that movie. For one thing, it was Charles Bronson, and the other thing was it was a crazy plot, and the sound of the soundtrack freaked everybody out. It's like, whoa, what was that? And it was a guitar synthesizer. So anyways, that wraps up this show on, I don't think, unless I can find something real mind-blowing over the next 24 hours, I think that's going to be it on the Boss SY200. So if you want to know more about this, there's 2 previous videos that I did live, and we started right at the beginning with the unit. So there's a little bit of watching, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours worth of watching. But what I did here was I'm giving you an honest professional musician's opinion on what it can do for a professional musician, and focus mainly on composing. I really didn't cover this unit for playing live, but still, it didn't move me enough to say, hey, I gotta get this so I can play this song on stage. I can do it with these. I don't need that box. So, and I know I can do it with these because I've been doing it for almost a year now, and I haven't had one of these, so it's not going to make a difference. But from a composing standpoint, it's a real tough call. I know that this unit is definitely going to be up there with collectibles like the whammy pedal. What other ones were there? The fuzz face, the wah, any wah. maybe the Boss distortion, flanger. Those are all pretty standard things that are still available today. They've been available for something like 40 years. So I think this is going to rank up there with those kind of units. And keep in mind, when you buy one of these, if the company says, "Hey, we've come up with something even better," you don't have to go out and buy the next generation. From what I understand, you'll be able to go online, plug your computer into it, and then download whatever it is into that. Now that in itself is tempting, because who knows what they're going to come up with, you know? I don't know what they're going to come up with, but they might add something to do what I've been searching for it to do. Because I think a lot of these companies now listen to the people through social media. And if people are saying, "Hey, that'd be really cool if this thing could do that. Let's talk to Boss and see what they say." Or Roland. And, who knows, they might do that. Put that out there. You can put that on there as a new effect or a new variation. I don't know. I don't work for the company, and I have yet to see that happen. I've got a unit that I use when I don't have an amplifier that I just ordered from China, and it basically gives you a lot of tonal things that you can use right through a PA, so you don't need an amplifier. It's not that great. I've always liked to play through an amplifier and control my stuff nice and easy on stage. But technology is changing, so, and maybe that's where this pedal is going to go as well. I'm not sure. So I'm not going to say it's a great pedal, and I'm not going to say it's not a very good pedal. I think it's up to you to decide, based on these videos, what you want to do when it comes to composing music, and possibly when it comes to playing live. You might be a composer that just puts things together that you pull offline, like you pull off the internet, like mashups, like what I was talking about the other day. So anyways, for a person in a band who plays guitar, lead guitar, rhythm guitar, and vocals, this is a great, I think this would be a great purchase. However, I'm focused on songwriting right now. I'm not going to use one of these live. So I'm going to have to pass on it. And maybe in a few weeks, maybe in a few months, something was going to change. And I'm going to say, "Hey, that pedal I tried out, I got to go get one of those." And it'll probably be 3 times the price. But you have to wait and see for that. Anyways, thanks for joining me on this, for those people that are listening in. Like usual, you can subscribe to this channel for more information. This has kind of been a special 3-episode version, and no composing going on, just talking about little toys that are available that can help you compose songs. So when that wraps it up, we'll see you next time, which will probably be tomorrow. I've got a couple ideas. One came from using this unit, so keep that in mind. But I can probably play that just with this and these. I won't need the box, but I'll be able to compose. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to compose a new number based on what I found using this. So being able to pull off one song from a unit, from a toy, that's the deciding factor for me. If it could have done a lot more and given me some real wigged out sounds. Before I go, a little story that I have about synthesizers. When I was 8 or 7, I remember going to Radio Shack at Christmas time with my family, and they had a synthesizer out there. And this was when their synthesizers were relatively new. I think it was still the 60s. Anyways, I started playing with it, and I had no clue. We had a piano at home, but I really wasn't up on. I wasn't learning how to play piano. But I came up to this Radio Shack synthesizer, And I said, can I try it? And they said, go ahead. And the guy just kind of watched me. I turned it on and I pressed a key. And I thought, wow, that's kind of neat. And I started playing with the knobs, because these synthesizers had knobs and buttons where you could actually build a sound for it. And I was on it for probably 10 or 15 minutes, just messing with the dials. And after 15 minutes, I had about 15 people standing around me, standing around the Radio Shack store, because this was like really new technology, and they were wondering what these crazy sounds were. And they were good sounds, like they were real authentic stuff. In fact, I wish I had one of those units. It was what worked back then would work today. So, like I said, it's that synthesizers for you. That's the kind of unit that can, boom, automatically make you start composing stuff, and stuff that people think, hey, that's pretty cool. So I think, and that could be a deciding factor here as well. Like everything you heard me do on this little box can be done on a keyboard. So it's a nice little toy. Anyways, thanks again. Subscribe if you'd like, and make a comment. Let me know what you want to see too, because when it comes to composing, there's a lot of things we can compose about during the times we're in right now. And I've done that too. People have said, hey, you know what, you should write a song about this girl that blah 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 blah, and boom, I did it. So yeah, feel free to add whatever you want in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching it, and I'll see you tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I think I can do something tomorrow. Have a great day wherever you are. Bye.